Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Discovery Pod with Eve. I am Eve Richards. I am so excited about today's show. We've got someone who is a jewelry designer, Danielle. So can't wait to delve into Danielle's background in a few minutes. So please make sure you watch this episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. I am so excited to be hosting this episode with my friend, Mandy Fason. She's an actress. She's a costume designer. She's a dancer. She's a single mother, originally from Texas, and she relocated to Los Angeles, and she's got quite a lot going on for her. So welcome, Mandy. It's good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back, Eve.
So tell us, what are you currently working on, or what are you really excited about? I mean, it's a wonderful time of the year. Holidays are fast approaching. It's that wonderful time.
Still trying to wrap my mind around the fact that it is November. The holidays are upon us, which it is my favorite time of year. I actually grew up in Arkansas. So yes, I lived in Texas, originally from Hot Springs, Arkansas. And the holidays and family time has always been very near and dear to my heart.
So how do you celebrate? I mean, do you cook? Do you travel?
It's changed. It was always creating a big spread and having the feast around the table and having, of course, my kids. I was never without my children. And part of the journey, being a single mother, they're doing so well. They're thriving. They're on their own. My daughter is in Tampa, Florida.
Wow.
My son is in Illinois. So it's
Fantastic.
adjusting to this new season of life where we're not in the same place anymore, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate through the holidays. It's new.
That's amazing. So were there, like, looking back when you were in Texas, any family traditions with regards to spending the holidays? Did you guys cook? And
Yeah, I love to cook, and I may not cook every day, and my kids may not say that, I'm the best cook, but the holidays, they certainly still want their favorites. You have that signature dish that's always around on the table, and I make a really, really special banana pudding.
oh my God. Oh, that sounds fantastic. And literally, I'm so mad because I know you've got this wonderful event that you told me about. And unfortunately,
Yes!
I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be on the
gonna
other
miss
side of
it.
the pond, but we're going to have to do something over the holidays. I mean, I'm just thinking back. So we had an episode that we did with the legendary
Kate
Linder, which I can't stop but think about how inspirational that interview was. And we've got another fantastic woman here who's an entrepreneur. She's a jewelry designer. She's all of that and more. And she lives in Vermont, Danielle. So what an exciting episode that we have with an incredible Danielle Enright. And so my co-host Mandy is going to do the intro.
Thank you, Eve. Yes, today we have the pleasure of speaking with a visionary who has transformed her passion into a movement. Danielle Nicole Enright. She is the founder of ABRAU, and she has not only created this stunning jewelry line, but she's also built a platform that empowers women and challenges conventional thinking in the fashion world. Danielle's journey is one of resilience, reinvention, and unwavering commitment to inspiring others. Her work is more than just about beauty. It carries a message of strength and empowerment. And I'm excited to dive deeper into her creative process and the life experiences that have shaped her into this dynamic figure she is today. And I would also like to say she has her lovely Lola with her. So we'll welcome you both.
Hi guys. Hi Mandy. Hi Eve. Thank you for having me.
I feel like I already know you, right? It's like,
Don't mind Lola. She's found her voice.
oh, she's
Lola.
incredible. So, Danielle, diving right in, your creations have been graced by many public figures. Is there a story of a specific piece that has a profound impact or on someone that particularly touched you outside of the limelight?
Oh, a certain piece. I started off early on in my journey
Mm-hmm.
with the feather
Ah,
bracelet. Uh, and the feather, I love to incorporate symbolism into my work. So anything that, like today, I'm wearing little bees
oh,
because
that's
it means like
gorgeous.
community and it means especially empowerment and so anything that can relate to my journey in a certain time
Yeah.
in my life. And at the time when I first started, I was actually watching The Voice, and I heard a woman on there. She was a contestant, and she said something along the lines of, um, your problems are as light as a feather because God holds them for you. And that really resonated with me. And that was the beginning of the journey for me of making jewelry. I thought to myself, wow, if I could incorporate that and remember that saying and have it on my body,
Yeah.
that would really help me in my day-to-day life. So I started making bracelets with a feather, a sterling silver feather, and I started selling them early on. And a lot of my customers said, this really helps me think about that quote, uh, in my daily life, and it's really helping me. So then I started pursuing symbolism and
Oh,
using more symbols like that just to help.
wow. That is
Yeah,
I
impactful.
love that meaning. Feathers have always been special to me. I find them very angelic and special and
they
sort of like
are
getting a
angelic. They
god
also
wink.
mean, if someone's passed on,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people, they tend to use whatever jewelry, whatever symbolism, I'll give them an idea as to how it relates to what I was feeling. But a lot of people will also put their own meaning on it, and it really helps. It's like kind of like a tattoo that you can remove.
Yeah.
Danielle,
Yeah.
would you mind telling us how you came up with the name of your company and what that name means?
Sure. So Abreu, it was a name I was coming up with my jewelry line name, and my son, who at the time I was a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I had lost my job. And he used to call me Abreu, and I was like, "Why do you call me that?" And he said, it just popped in my head one day." So I looked it up, and it's actually a lake in Eastern Europe. And come to find out, it's where my ancestors are from, and he would have had
Wow.
no way of knowing that. And I found that to be like synchronicity. And I just don't believe in accidents or anything like that. So I said that there has to be a reason he called me that, and that's what I'm going to stick with.
It's
That's
really
inc
beautiful. That
yeah.
is beautiful.
That's incredible. So
I
Danielle,
know.
tell us about your, I think there are so many people besides, I know you've covered a lot of your jewelry have graced all of the various magazines, Elle and all of that. But
Yes.
tell our audiences how you got started.
I got started, and it wasn't anything I intended to do. I got started after losing my job in the legal field.
Wow.
And it was a very traumatic time in my life where I felt like everything was falling apart. Um, I lost my job. I lost my self-esteem because I had invested everything into that career
Mm-hmm.
because I had such a kind of traumatic childhood where I almost didn't graduate from high school. I had to work extra hard in community college and then go on to get into legal studies. So I felt like I had finally redeemed my high school career. And then after losing that career, for something that was so traumatic again, I felt so lost. And I ended up just going into art therapy. And when I went into art therapy and they had me start drawing and also connecting dots of like my past and things like that, I started feeling more at peace with everything that had happened,
Mm-hmm.
and started feeling like I had somewhat of like control in my life again. I felt like, wow, when I'm creating something, I'm no longer feeling anxious, and I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself. When I
Yeah.
was younger, I used to create all the time. And somewhere along the way, I kind of lost that coping skill.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of thrown back into it and started painting. And when I was painting, I would lose all track of time. I forgot that I had lost my job. I was just kind of in the moment. And and then I started just I don't even know how I started with jewelry. I think I needed a bracelet for something and I couldn't afford it because I was a single mom. So I started looking on YouTube and I saw a tutorial for how to make loomed bracelets. And if you know,
Wow.
if you're in the fashion industry, then you know who Chan Lu is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chan Lu was actually my inspiration, but I couldn't afford her bracelets. They're too expensive for me at the time. So I learned how to loom beads onto a leather cord. And so
Wow.
I taught myself how to do that. And then I had an eBay page where I was selling off all of my belongings just to make ends meet as a single mom.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I said I'm going to throw one on there and just see what happens. And within an hour, it sold. And I remember thinking, wow, I
Wow.
made that with my own hands
Oh,
and it was so much fun and this was amazing and I just love that adrenaline rush that I got that wow, somebody wants
yes.
something that I made. So,
Incredible.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
how it all started. And then I just kind of took it from there. It definitely wasn't overnight. It was every day, day in, day out, grueling, long hours just trying to make ends meet. And then I caught, a lot of customers who were so happy with my quality, I guess, because I'm definitely a perfectionist and I will make sure that everything is perfect in my customer service. And so I had repeat customers, and then it took off from there where I started getting stores that wanted to carry my jewelry. And
incredible.
so that's how it happened.
So it just happened by way of just immersing
Hard work.
yourself into an art. But as artists,
Yeah.
we don't always think that our art has value.
Yeah.
And at what point have you seen this personal evolution where you are the designer and you make these things? And has there been a shift in the intention where it was just sort of by accident and now having
Yeah.
sort of more ownership in that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about
I feel like this entire journey has been beyond jewelry and money and any of that. I feel like it's been an inside journey, and I feel like it has. Through this whole thing, and especially immersing myself in social media
Yeah.
and gaining, a following, I've also learned that um, my confidence was kind of lacking even through, getting customers and building a business. I still had that confidence issue because I had a traumatic past. And so it wasn't until I started networking with
Yep.
other like-minded women on Instagram that I started meeting people who had similar values and similar wanting to inspire other women, wanting to lift others up. I didn't always have that growing up, and that was really, really difficult for me. I always felt kind of like an outcast and I didn't have a community. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was definitely didn't understand myself at all. I was very introverted and very shy and sensitive, and I never felt like that was okay.
Yeah.
I never felt like being myself was okay. I always felt like I had to be someone else
Wow.
or pretend or just to fit in, and I felt like I was always put down. So I had a lot of that bullying issues, or people just wanting to put me down all the time.
Wow.
So I had a lot to overcome
Yeah.
internally. And I feel like this business, and that's what I try to teach people is if you want to change your life, it all starts in here.
Internal.
You really
Yes.
have to do the work internally,
Mhm.
because confidence is everything, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
You have to almost, I kind of isolate now and I tell people, I'm very picky about who I let in because
Mm-hmm.
it took me so long to build this sense of peace and confidence.
Oh my
And a lot of
gosh.
it came from,
Amazing.
luckily, finding my tribe
Yeah.
on Instagram. I finally got out of my own neighborhood because I'm from a very small town. I
Yeah.
finally stepped out of my shell and said, you know what? I'm just going to do something different and I don't care what anyone thinks. And it was when I started meeting the women who wanted to lift me up that I
Yeah.
started really feeling
Wow.
empowered.
That is such an
And it
incredible
takes a
story.
community, right? It takes
Yes.
that support and community. And I never had that before. So
Wow.
then it's just ongoing journey. I'm still learning, still trying to figure it out, still experimenting every day and seeing what I'm capable of. And that's why I do so many different things,
Yes.
because I'm a strong believer in wanting to just learn something new
Hmm.
every single day because I still feel like I'm learning. I'm such a late bloomer and I feel like, wow, I'm just discovering my artistic side and look at all these things I can do. And a lot of it is also wanting to show my kids different ways to cope because I never really had that growing up. I never had that support of, being an artist is okay and, things like that. So
Wow, congratulations on your
thank
journey.
you.
I already feel like I know you, right? Because we're Instagram friends and we're supporting
Yes,
one
yes.
another. And thanks to Jules. I hope she gets to watch this episode
Love you,
because
Jules.
she
Mwah.
connected
Yeah.
she's the one who connected us. So
Yes.
you may not want it, but tell us, who was your first celebrity that wore your piece and how did that make you feel?
Wow, great question. My very first celebrity was Candace. Her name is Candace King. It used to be Candace Acola. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And she is on Vampire Diaries.
Okay.
That has a huge following. And was, I sent my jewelry into the wardrobe stylist to be so, as a potential for that show. And when it was chosen, it really felt like I had something it was just that self-esteem boost. It was kind of like, okay, I'm on the right track. Somebody likes my stuff. I'm doing something right. And because I did, like I said, I don't didn't have a lot of support um in my real life in this life. I just had very little support. Even in my home state, a lot of people didn't even know what I did or that I was making jewelry. So I had to find the support elsewhere. And I think that's another important message I love to get out to kids, especially kids who grow up in these small towns and maybe they don't have the best upbringings or they don't have a lot of support, is that if you find you're a safe person, and that's who I want to become for people, is I'm a woman, hopefully that younger people can look up to and say, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
She was able to spread her wings and go outside of their current environment. And sometimes it's just kind of dealing with what's going on in the moment, but eventually, as long as you continue being authentic, you'll find, who belongs in your life. And with my community at the artisan group, who is how I started getting on these shows, I also found that kind of my tribe. So it's all been about finding women who are supportive
That's
versus
incredible.
women who are competitive. And I think there's a difference. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are still kind of old school who they feel like they have to compete with you, or they don't want to support you. They don't want to give you a like on Instagram because that would mean maybe they're failing or something. And it's just like, that's just not going to get women further ahead.
Yeah.
We all need to be very supportive of each other and supportive of each other, even if we're different. Even if, I think I consider myself somewhat of a feminist, but I also don't like to label myself because I've been in groups where I've tried to speak out on feminism and how I feel about supporting other women. And I've also been put down in those groups and said, well, you shouldn't be, um, a stay-at-home mom, or you shouldn't be wearing makeup, or you shouldn't, these things. And it's like, no, we all come from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
and we're all the way we are based off from our histories, and we're all different. So we all need to support each other no matter what we look like, what we do for a living. And that's the only way that we're going to ever get ahead as women, I think,
And
is we have
we
to stop
want
that
the
competition.
differences because I mean, think about it, as an artist, we have to celebrate those differences and stay
Yes.
authentic. I wanted to ask you how you
Yes.
maintain the authenticity in your creative vision, and also as an entrepreneur that's a multi hyphenate. And as that, you're having to navigate your own social media, and then you can get
Yes.
lost in that world of crazy. So, how do
Yes.
you maintain your focus?
It's hard. And that's one of the things I'm still working on. I am definitely a multi-passionate person. And I don't know anyone else that I can relate to that, because a lot of women that I know are very niche oriented. And I try to stay in my lane of jewelry, but I can't because I'm just so passionate about so many different things. So I think my authentic self is I'm going to share what I want to share and not care so much about that following number. I'm going to care about who needs to see it at that moment is meant to see it.
Yeah.
And I guess my whole thing is when I was looking for a way to cope, it was through trying to find art, right? So I was
Yes.
able to go onto YouTube and say, I want to make a bracelet. And then I learned that skill. And so I feel like beyond jewelry, I don't feel like maybe even that is my calling. I honestly feel like my calling was more than jewelry. It's to have to send a message to people who maybe a platform. I feel like my calling is to build a platform where it's beyond jewelry. It's to show people that they can persevere no matter what their history, no matter what their upbringing, that
That's
they can
incredible.
change in any moment. They can change their life, they can change their circumstances, and they can create a life that they're really proud of, no matter what and against all odds. So that's what I try to put out in the world. So I try to, post things that I'm passionate about, and hopefully a person will see it and try one of my crafts or try interior design or try making a bracelet, and maybe they'll create a business from it. And, I hope to inspire someone
That's
else.
amazing. So the
Yeah.
idea of female empowerment is central to your brand.
Yes.
How has your understanding of empowerment evolved over the years? And how do you hope to inspire future generations?
I hope to inspire women to create. I feel like creating gets you out of your head. I feel like women have so many things on their plates between, if you choose to be a mother, if you choose not to be a mother. It feels like we're always critiqued no matter what we do. I mean, you're wearing makeup, you shouldn't wear makeup. We're always being critiqued.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you're creating and in versus consuming, so when you're on social media and you're mindlessly scrolling and you start that comparison game of look at their life compared to my life, that I like to get people out of that mode because it's really unhealthy. And I instead of doing that, maybe look at other women as inspiration of, wow, look at what she's doing. I could do that too. Let me try it. And hopefully they'll create and start sharing their creations, and that will lead them into something else that's more positive. I definitely feel like it's a kind of a toxic world with social media, and I'm hoping that I'm a safe place to land where someone might feel like, you know what, she's authentic, she's living her truth, she's being brave, and I can do that too. And it's an evolution. It's me, I'm still trying to figure it all out because it's all kind of somewhat new to me, social media. And I don't want it to be a toxic environment, but at the same time, there's that toxic positivity where I can't always be positive too. So I don't know. I wish I had all the answers. I don't. And, but I love to brainstorm with other women and hopefully lift them up.
I got to
And that,
add to that though. I'm
sure.
not on social media often. I literally
Yeah.
go on social media when I want to post, and I literally get away from social media. But from what I've seen from the videos, and I've reposted because
Yeah.
I loved your videos. You are so authentic, and I loved your Halloween video. I gotta say that because I reposted 2, 3 times because I loved it. I
Thank you.
would say that you are authentic. I am so glad we're connected. We're friends. You are
Yes.
incredible. And I love your
Thank you so
message
much.
of hope, inspiration. So many people are going to find this conversation that we're having with you so uplifting. And thank you for being your authentic self.
Thank you so much.
I have to,
And yes.
I was just going to say, I have to add, in trying to look and learn about you, knowing I would be on the show with you today, I realized, oh, I'm already following you on Instagram. But what really caught my attention was
Oh,
my
cool.
daughter is following you on Instagram. And we have
Oh,
shared your videos because we like to get ideas on how to do like an upcycle thing or a reinvention around the house. And so I thought you should know that. And my
oh
daughter
my
being a
gosh.
26-year-old, you're multi-generational.
That's
Oh, I love it so
fantastic.
much. You literally just gave me chills because I just find that fascinating. Uh, Thank you so much to
I
your
have
daughter.
chills
And
now.
uh, I'm so humbled by it all, honestly. And I'm just so happy that I can just be here. There were times in my life, and that's the thing, and I hope this helps somebody. There were times in my life when I was hopeless and things weren't always easy. And I definitely suffered with depression and things like that. And now I feel like I was given kind of a second chance in life
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm making the most of it. And I'm not going to allow, any bullies or anything like that stand in my way. And I
Yeah.
hope that people can see that kindness is definitely the answer. And I love how you just told me that because a lot of times people will withhold things like that from me. Oh, we don't want to give her a big head, so we're not going to tell her this or that. And I definitely think it's our duty as women to, when we
Yes.
see another woman that inspires us, to tell them. I think nobody knows what anyone else struggles with internally.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why people resonate with my story is it's very much a human
It
story.
is a human
Um,
story. Oh, yes.
it's not like everything was handed to me. I had to work my butt off
Good for
and
you.
overcome a lot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, thank you so much for sharing that
I
with
You're
think
me.
it's a
welcome.
That made my
wonderful
day.
it's a wonderful story because Mandy and I, that's how we connected. Because one of the
Oh,
things that I try to do for myself as well is I try to be as authentic as possible. People
yes,
see one side and they
yes,
think it's all glam, but it's
yes.
not because there's
Oh,
struggles, right? You go through the ebbs and flows where one day things are great and the next day. How do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused? And the two-part question for anyone out there who wants to purchase any of your jewelry, where can they find it besides Instagram? I know you have a website as well.
I
Just
do. I do. So thank you. Yes, that's actually a great question. How do I stay positive and uplifted on maybe when I'm not even feeling it? Because every day I want to show up, I don't want to, and that doesn't mean overwork myself.
yeah.
So I know my limits, and I think that's an important thing as a business owner. We need to know when we need a break. I think it's very important. I know that early on in Instagram, I felt very pressured to post every day, and I've been taking lots of mental health breaks when I need it because it does get overwhelming, and we do need breaks. I I try to do something positive in the morning. In the morning, when I have alone time, I spend my mornings, drinking coffee and simple things like reading positive quotes. That's all very much a part of me because when I didn't have a lot of support in my life and I felt very alone in a lot of my struggles, the only thing I had to rely on was these positive quotes I would find. And so I've made that a habit. And what I find very interesting, and one of my good friends, I want to give a shout out to her because she is literally at times that I felt at my loneliest, she's really helped me and lifted me. And her name is Christine, and I'm gonna say her Instagram handle because everyone needs to follow her. She's so uplifting and beautiful person. It's Confidence Reactivate. She helped me as a woman gain my confidence back during some really difficult times. And she told me, and this is so true, and I think everyone should know this, is that just like any other muscle in your body, your brain can actually it has muscle memory. So when you're feeding it negativity, whether it be negative shows or negative, if you're partaking in negative comments on Instagram, your brain will wire itself to think negatively. But on the contrast, if you start waking up every morning and reading positive quotes and thinking over time, your brain will naturally start thinking in the positive. And she was the one who taught me that, and it has changed my life. It only takes 21 days to form a habit. So 21 days, if you were to wake up every single morning and start reading positive quotes and give the self affirmations, your life, I'm telling you, will change. And it sounds so simple, but it's so, so true. So that's one thing I do every single day as an entrepreneur is I stay away from the drama.
Yeah.
I try not to gossip or even partake in it. And I kind of stick to myself until I feel comfortable with somebody to feel like I can share myself and open myself up. I think it's very important to to limit negativity around you. So we all have that power to say, to set boundaries. And if somebody's crossing those boundaries or making you feel bad about yourself, um, walk away. You don't need that in your life, because your true friends will lift you up and they'll support you. So
Wow.
that's the one thing I do every single day. And I hope that helps somebody. And the other thing is how to purchase my jewelry is I used to only do artisan made jewelry.
Hmm.
Now I've opened up, and I've partnered with Stellar, who's a fine
Yeah.
jewelry supplier. And they also have 302 jewelry, which I also sell. So they were just, 302 is was on The Bachelorette. So Jen Tran from The Bachelorette just wore a 302 jewelry, which I carry. But I also do some artisan made jewelry, but I've limited the supply of that just because I am doing other passion projects right now. I just don't have a ton of time to do new designs. But you can purchase my jewelry on abraujewelry.com. And for the fine jewelry, you'll need to submit a quote. And I will give you the quote, and I give the absolute best prices on all fine jewelry that you can find anywhere. And but yeah, and then there's made to order and ready to wear jewelry on my website, which is abraujewelry.com.
That's fantastic.
So, Danielle, it's obviously anything we do creatively, we find it challenging to turn that into a business, a
Right.
profitable business. But you've done that and you've done really well. So, I wanted to ask you if you could share for anyone listening that may have things that they would like to become an entrepreneur for themselves, what has been the most unexpected lesson you've learned through the highs and lows of building your business from an actual how did you educate yourself on certain elements of that you may have not had those tools starting out?
Yeah,
Um,
I am very fortunate that I am computer savvy. That is the one thing that has helped me along through this whole journey, is that I'm self-taught in computers, and it's something that I was thankfully naturally gifted with. So I learned how to create my own website early on, and so I pretty much do all of my anything computer oriented. So I understand the algorithms, and I'm kind of a computer nerd in that sense. So definitely that is something that you'll have to source out if you are not computer savvy. And I've also learned that social media, and if you think of your business as, or if you think of, so you can build a business and you can do really well uh, locally with a brick and mortar. But then I think what we realized, and one of the things that I found was in 2020, if you had a brick and mortar store, after everything happened in 2020, you kind of had, I think people were forced almost to start learning more about social media and learning how to be creative and selling things, or else their businesses were failing. So I think I kind of was ahead in that, where I don't have a brick and mortar store and I'm only on my website. And how important that really is uh, knowing how to market yourself
Yeah.
and how to be creative in that way. And I think it's important for women who start businesses to know that sometimes people aren't buying because you have the best product.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're buying because they want to connect with you. So I think that's very important for women who are building a business, is to not be afraid of showing yourself in the business.
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly pushing just a product, it kind of can get stale. And I don't think people resonate with that as much as they resonate with maybe your story or your
Yes.
message. So I think if you have a deeper message, definitely share that, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because I think people want that. They want to get to know you as a person, not necessarily your product,
Yeah,
if that
that's
makes.
incredible. So, what do you hope your legacy will be, not just as a jewelry designer, but as a woman and someone who's all about female empowerment and authenticity?
I hope my message is that I was able to overcome a lot of things that would have probably killed most people. I've been through more things than anybody would ever realize, and I didn't always do it with grace, but I did it but I still got up and I still persevered. And my legacy, I hope, is that I'm now anybody can change. And I think that if anything, I've done the work, and it's not necessary. I want the message to be one of just support and kindness. That if you end up in a position where you do have some sort of power, or that you have made it against all odds, I think it's our duty as women to then help other women. And I know that there are some women who say, well, I had to do it myself. They need to figure it out. Well, I'm not, I guess my whole thing is I want to be the woman that I didn't have when I was younger. I didn't have anybody really to look up to, or to make me feel like I was normal.
Wow.
So I want to be the one that says, you can be weird, you can be outcast, you can have no friends, and you can still make it in this world. Hold on, don't give up, and start creating, start digging deep, and start, doing something, do more of what you love. And I think that you'll find, I feel like the answer becomes clearer when we're not overthinking, when we're kind of in that zone of doing something that we genuinely love.
So powerful.
You've said that you didn't have those examples, but we know how important mentorship is
Yes.
in anything. It's pivotal for our successes. And you sound like such an amazing mentor, but even though you didn't always have that, you're trying to be that. But who do you have around you, whether you know them or it's just someone you watch from afar, maybe you are inspired by them? Who would you consider your mentors now?
Well, I did have a very strong mother role growing up. And of course, different generation where, it was just a different generation. So, I mean, but she was that's where I get my creativity from, I think. And then beyond that, after my kind of life fell apart and I needed, somebody to help me, a woman swooped in. And like I said, it was a woman who paid it forward to me. I share this a lot because it was so important, because I felt like giving up at the time. Yeah. And I was in a grocery store, and she ended up paying for my groceries. So she was a complete stranger. And what she didn't know was I was at my wit's end because I'd lost everything. And that when she came up to me and she said, I'm going to pay for your groceries, but I want you to pay it forward. What she didn't know is that triggered something in me, which was to hold on to that somebody cares. Yeah. There is somebody out here who cares about you. And I want to be that person. So I definitely reach out to people who I feel like might be struggling. I can kind of sense that. And that's what I do on social media a lot, is I boots on the ground. If I see somebody struggling, I'll reach out to them, because I know how important that is to have that human connection. And I think that a lot of people used to judge me as, oh, she looks put together. She looks like she has, I may have dressed nice, but they didn't understand that what was going on in my mind. Yeah. So that I was lonely, that I didn't have a lot of friends, that I was, struggling. And I feel like that's the most important thing you can do right now, even in this time when things are so crazy in the world right now, is reach out to people. Yes. Be a hand to help somebody out, pay it forward, volunteer. I have my best friend is actually a nun, and she met me during one of my worst time, and I started volunteer work, and she helped me too. Her name is Sister Pat, and I just love her. She's my best friend still. Incredible. To this day. And she's so far not like me at all, because I'm definitely not a saint. But I will say she helped me because she showed me what it's like to really go and, volunteer, and how that opens up a door, something in you that says, my problems are so insignificant compared to other people's. So no matter what you're struggling with right now, there's somebody else who's so far off, worse off than you, no matter what. And I don't care what you're struggling with. So there's always help. You can always lend a hand, volunteer, and then you're going to find what is needed in the world. So I think that really helped.
So switching gears to something a bit more fun, just because.
Okay, yes.
The season, right? So my family is back in Boston, and you're up in Vermont. What a beautiful place to be in the fall. How, we're approaching the holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas. Tell us, What are your fun holiday traditions? How do you celebrate?
Oh, I'm traditional. I love the holidays. As you can see, like Thanksgiving or Halloween.
Oh, it
I
was so
love
much
dressing up.
fun.
I
Oh my,
love fun, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. And so I just love being like almost like a kid at heart. And I
Hmm.
love like seeing the world through my kids' eyes, especially my young daughter. And so I just feel like I'm very playful and I love to just dress up as Mrs. Claus and make, bake cookies and everything traditional. Like, and I love making reels too. So I
Okay, I'm
love,
waiting to see. I'm gonna be on the lookout for that video, because based on
yeah,
what
you
I
have
saw
to.
with the Halloween video, that was so much fun. Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
waiting. I'm gonna be keeping an eye out. Usually, I'm on Instagram once a day, but I'm gonna make sure I keep checking your Instagram to see.
Yes.
And one of the last questions would usually be like, if in past, present, or future, what three guests would you have at dinner for conversation? I guess we would have Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Claus. Yes.
Uh, so Danielle, this has been incredible. I'm so glad I got to finally connect with you and you're connecting with us here. I mean,
Yeah.
your story is inspiring. It's a reminder of the power of following a person's passion with intentions and heart. Your journey is truly inspiring. Thank you so much for being on today. I can't wait to see, just to check out all of the things that you have going for you. You're such an inspiration. Mandy, wasn't this incredible?
And Lola was so sweet.
Of course,
Well,
and
let me
very well
see.
behaved.
Yes, thank you,
Oh my
Lola.
goodness, this was incredible. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this inspirational episode with Danielle. Please check her out. She's on Instagram. Um, just plug your.
Facebook. Yeah. Facebook and TikTok, not so much, but yeah. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
Danielle.
bravery and sharing your
Of
stories and
course.
being an inspiration.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch this inspirational episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you could listen to us on your favorite podcast. You never know who's going to stop by next week. So please watch us to continue getting all of those inspirational stories. Danielle, thank you. Roger Neal, thank you for producing. Jamie, of course. And Mandy, thank you for hosting with me. Thanks, Danielle. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Mwah. I'll talk to you soon,
Talk to
guys.
you soon.
Bye.
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 She's got